And we're live, so welcome. So I think this time I wanted to try something new. So I'm going to do a painting from the beginning to end. I don't think we're going to finish this time, but I'm at least going to make a start. And hi mate, says Pandagree. Hi, welcome to you all. So yeah, as I said, I am this time going to try something a bit new, and I'm doing an oil painting. And I thought I'd begin a completely fresh one. So the way I go about it is I just start somewhere and see where it goes. I do have some idea. I want it to be a nighttime painting. I don't know the time of year, I just know I probably don't want it to be winter. At least not in the lowlands. And I want some stars. But other than that, I don't have much of an idea. So I'm just going to start with some colors. And I want the stars up here, and so I'm going to do early evening, I think. So we'll just see what kind of colors we'll do in here. And the painting you see up there, I did earlier today. So we can actually get quite far, even just within 2 hours now. And I'm very curious to see how it goes. And hopefully you guys can see most things. Sometimes I'm going to have my hand in front of the screen. But I think it'll work fine. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Any suggestions are alright. I can't promise I'm going to necessarily do it. But yeah, sure. So feel free to contribute. Feel free to talk to each other. I just want to have a nice, calm little space here where we can all meet, do some painting. Get your own colors if you want to, and paint along. And yeah, let's see what we can manage here. So the way I do it is I just start with the colors here. And then to get the transitions. And then I go off that. So I have an idea, but usually it goes quite wildly differently than what I had imagined. But up here, for instance, I would like some stars, and sometimes it's nice to have that really, truly black night, to have a nice contrast for the stars. But mostly, of course, even the night sky looks kind of bluish, and so that's the main color. And the nice thing with a night painting is that you can still have different colors in it. They're just going to be a bit different. And I think maybe a mountain in here or something. So we'll see what kind of a landscape it'll become. And I'm painting on, this isn't an actual canvas, this is a paper canvas. So it is specially designed to be painted on with oil colors. But the nice thing is that it dries a lot faster. That is the reason why I can do this live, because often on canvases they dry so slowly that I would usually have to wait quite a while to continue it. But this, I think, will actually go a bit faster, and so we can get a lot done. Cute Animal Stones says moon, question mark. So I'm not entirely sure if we're going to add a moon or not. I think we're going to have to see. Maybe. But I think maybe not on this one. We'll have to see how it goes. And the thing I like to do is to get all of the colors in. So this isn't entirely going to be the night sky. This is just the very beginning. And then I'm going to go down here and do the landscape. It's the preparatory colors for the landscape. So there might be some slight oranges or something in the very, very late, not sunset here, but I think it's late evening, so we still have some color. Maybe I'll get some oranges into it, but we'll see. And yeah, I think a kind of pine forest with some mountain in the background. And then some kind of feel that you're deep in the forest. I think that would be nice. So I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and we'll see how it goes. I've never done a live painting. I haven't done many live painting sessions anyway, and this is my second one on oil. But from beginning to end, I think it will be quite interesting. So here we have some reflections into it, but I don't think they can be avoided. And I'll kind of repeat the pattern down the painting here as well. And then the more interesting parts can happen. This process usually takes a bit longer, and I always like that because it's just it's a more meditative part of the painting process. It's not detail work, and you don't have to think that much. Just kind of see what works and what colors are nice and what schemes work. With your cabin, Cute Animal Stone says. So I never paint any animals, any humans, or indeed any human artifacts into my paintings, so there's probably not going to be a cabin here. What you can do is you can imagine sitting in the cabin and looking out, but I very much avoid anything human-made, or even animals. I like the focus to be completely on the landscape. So I do get this question quite a lot. Why don't you paint an animal or humans into your painting? That's just how this developed, and eventually I realized that I really very much like the focus to stay just on nature. And the focus moves so quickly off a landscape if you have anything else in it. And so I very much like it to just stay like that. So what you will see here is that since it dries quite quickly, there'll be some blotches. They will go away again. So if you see that it kind of, the color changes and becomes not very good, that'll go away again. Ruth ser på. Kanskje du Ruth? Det är bra. Alright, let's see here. I don't think I'm gonna do any other color, and while I said that, I realized that I might. we will see. And what I like to do is to get some of this color up into the darker areas. So I'm just gonna migrate some paint from time to time. So we'll get some colors and some clouds up here. And a lot of this is it is smoothing it out, but at the same time the landscape appears. And it gets time to dry and so on, because I wouldn't be able to paint any trees or anything into it, but while we are moving paint around, the paint is going to dry at the same time, and then in a not too long a time we can start painting things into it. And I think actually some reds here would be nice. We'll have to see. So yeah, I thought what my picture in my head was having a large mountain here in the background and then having some forests here. And now that Animal Stones talked about that moon, I'll have to see. The thing though is if I add a moon, then suddenly I have a different light source than the one I thought. So let's see. And yeah, let's get some clouds further up. Animal Star said maybe a shooting star. The thing about all of those kind of things that could be really nice is that they often look incredibly kitsch if you don't do them right. I have only ever painted shooting stars on some of my Christmas orbs that I painted a long time ago. And I will start to have more things like rain and weather into my paintings, and that does happen fast, but I think a shooting star is still moving a bit too fast for me to do it at the moment. So I think I'll avoid that for now, but I'll keep that idea and see that maybe at some point. Hello Janine, nice to see you. I'm starting to have regulars here in these streams, which is really nice. And I'm always really happy to see those. I'm glad to see the rest of you too. Colors of the Rainbow, Emona is here. Oh, a blank canvas. Yes, so this is a blank canvas. I just started it because I thought it might be fun to take you guys along on the entire time, because usually I have painted a painting and I thought, okay, that might be interesting to show. But let's just do it from the beginning, I thought. All right, I'm going to do a bit of color into it because I think that'll be nice. Sometimes I would do some yellows in, but then obviously everything just goes green. But I think some soft reds could be a nice thing. Now, so yeah, I just had this idea that just doing a completely blank canvas and doing everything here would be good. And with this new phone, I can have a wider lens, so I can actually have the phone a bit further away, and then I can actually manage to paint these broad strokes, even though I have you guys along. The thing would be nice if we could. Oh, this works. Very good. So you can get rid of the reflections. That is much better. And Animal Stone says hi to Janine Mavis. That's very good. I'm very happy that you guys are starting to know one another. And that this space can actually be a space where you can even meet other people. You don't all have to talk to me all the time. And I've gotten more and more into that idea of just providing a space. And Janine says hello back to Cute Animal Stones. That is great. So yeah, I think I like that. Having a very soft red tone. And then we'll got some cloud cover working here. And then we'll do some stars up here, but it has to dry a bit out more. And a lot of things can be changed. So at any point, things can be changed around and colors can become just night sky and so on. That's something I like because, as you probably all know very well by now, I paint from imagination. So I don't have a photo or anything next to me here. Hi, it's Emona. Yes. Emona. Anyone here from a couple of days ago? Emona says yes. So Animal Stones is here. Janine is here. And if anyone here is here for a couple of days ago, you can do a little wave or something. So, yeah, quite a few people are back. And I did notice, I did a live stream a bit earlier today, and a lot of people told me that they were just woken up. So I realized it might be better to wait a bit and do it a bit later. Because while people are from everywhere, that time seemed to not be the best one. Alright, let's see here. So what I do like is just this kind of a little bit of wavy cloud. I can get some movement into them. And I keep having to remember here that we don't want too many clouds because we're going to add some stars later. And I'm afraid I don't think I will add that moon. I think just some stars will be nice here. Krasi just joined. You're welcome to join the stream here. I have another one. Mona just asked if there were anyone here from the stream we did, I think 2 days ago now. And Krasi is one of them. Julia is here with my friend now. Very good. So yeah, the reason why I will repeat your questions if I answer them, or questions or any comment or anything, is as long as if I am responding to something, I will upload this to YouTube later. At least those that work, as I will sometimes upload them to YouTube, and I will get everything on Instagram TV, so you can watch them later. But the chat isn't included there. And you can't actually see the chat, so I have to repeat it so that once you see it again later, you'll know what's going on. Krasi says, oh yay, I'm lucky again. Very good. And says hello to Janine, who just waved at her. So yeah, that's wonderful. Alright, and I can see what I was complaining about a bit. This now dries off, and so you get these spots. That won't stay. Eventually everything will dry and the color will come out again. I don't hear the sound. I have to check my device. Oh, that is a problem. Hopefully... Does anyone hear me at all? Let's see. If anyone could tell me that they hear me, that would be wonderful. And if you don't, I'm just going to assume you're not. Neither do I. Oh, that's not good. Someone else told me that they didn't hear it. Yes, Janine hears me. Okay, I can hear you all. All things just said yes, yes. Animal stones hearing me. Okay, so I think that's probably something at your end then. It might be some button you have to push. I was going to start to push all kinds of buttons at my end, and things would probably just have gone horribly wrong. And Julia can hear me too. Okay, good. All right, now we've actually come to such a point that I think we can get that mountain into the painting. This is always an exciting part, because while it can kind of be done over, it can't really be not without ruining quite a bit. Emona says it's a bad connection, but it could be just my phone. I guess it is. Okay, I rejoined, Cressy says, and it's okay now and I can hear you. Okay, wonderful. I am so glad. So welcome, Cressy, and I'm so glad that you joined us now. And I'm even happier that you can hear me. All right, so let's get that mountain going. I thought just kind of just one mountain top here, and it can be quite detailed eventually. And this will be the same as everything else, so I'm just trying to figure out how I think that the mountain kind of functions and grows, and it just has to appear while I'm painting. The only problem is that if you see me pulling hairs out of everywhere, it's because we have a dog, and his hairs do get everywhere. Speak, no paint, please. All right, let's see. It might mean that I am simply speaking too much and not painting enough. I'm not entirely sure what you meant. Hello, I'm so glad I hear you too. That I am here too. Yeah, that is wonderful. So let's see. And yeah, now the mountain is starting to appear. And I think the mountain could be, there should be snow on the mountain, I think, but the rest of the painting, I imagine, is some other season that we'll have to figure out. And we might not even have to figure out, because if it's nighttime, that might not be a problem. So yeah, and I think the mountain can be quite a large mountain, and we can imagine there being lots and lots of different details, and that can come a bit later. Now just the broad strokes have to come. In here, and so we have quite a big landscape here, and I'll have to figure out how to do that. Animal Stones asks, do you sometimes use a painting knife? No, I don't. I know quite a lot of painters do, but I never use a knife because it's not accurate enough for me. Oh, I love mountains, Cressy says. That's good. And SQY says something in Arabic, I think, which I sadly cannot read. All right. Yeah, I love mountains too. We have some huge, wonderful, imposing mountains here. And I always get so inspired looking at them. And so I really wanted to have some mountains again here in my paintings. And yeah, I think I would like to get a start on some trees too, just so we have the kind of the main painting already, so that there's an idea of how it's going to go, because I'm not entirely sure yet. Senpai's here too. Good evening, Joachim, Cressy, Michael. Some more oil painting. Yes, I said I was going to do some more of that. And this one, while you joined a bit later, this one we actually started from scratch. So this was just an empty canvas a few minutes ago. And now we have our mountain, which is just a preliminary mountain. This is gonna, throughout the painting, a lot of this paint that we're adding now, it's all going to stay quite soft still, so we can always do something. Cressy says, you're so good. A mountain appeared just so quickly. Amazing work, thank you. Well, being fast is very much a good thing now for these live streams. I used to be incredibly slow, and it wouldn't have been possible to do a live stream. But now that my speed has gotten better, it actually works. Janine says, Cressy, I agree. He makes it look so easy. Well, that's a good thing, I think. All right, let's get some colors into the landscape just so we have some idea. I think forest here would be nice. So I'm going to do some more. Well, actually, I'll do some detail tree right away. Cressy says hello to Jack. Asa says hello. Hello to you. I realize it must seem like I have no life apart from these live streams. Well, neither do I, so that's not a problem. In good company. And they aren't that long, so I'm sure you have things to do outside of them. And these days, I mean, none of us really have lives, so it's nice to meet you. The danger now is if I paint trees into it. Obviously, I can't do anything else afterwards behind it, but that's not a problem, I think. We'll just do a tree. So I'll do a detail tree, and then I'll do quite a bit faster trees, just so we have them. But I just want to put something here so we have an idea of what's going to come later. But since I'm not entirely sure how it's all going to look, I'm not going to do like 50 incredibly detailed trees here. And there are ways of doing them a lot faster than doing the details later, because I'm not sure how much I'm going to keep. I missed a live earlier, did I? Cressy says, yes, you did. I did a very short one. I did post it on Instagram TV. It wasn't very long. And everyone was so sleepy, then I decided to do the live stream later. And it does seem like a lot more people can join now. And I haven't heard too many complaints about being sleepy now. And I suppose for a lot of people it was just really early because we're all on different time scales here. So yeah, I'm just going to do this tree and then a few of the other, and then I'm just going to do the shadow afterwards so that we know what's actually going to happen there. Because what I like to do in the beginning of a painting like this is just to establish the entire painting, and then I'll just go over the different areas again and again and again. Because it's very different than if I would have a picture now, then I would paint a bit more, I assume, I don't paint from pictures, a bit more like the way that you see people paint, with just, they have like a brown background first, then they put the layers on top and so on. Ah, great. I thought it must have been a short one because I wasn't away from my phone for too long. So, but it's difficult to please everyone. But as you say, everyone's in different time zones. Yes, this is true, but this seems to be better. Do what time is good for you, Mona says. Oh, thank you. Well, what is good for me is that you guys can be there too. So I am going to prioritize that to a certain extent. I can do other kinds of videos or material or just paint for myself at those times where no one's going to join. But if I'm going to do a live stream, it is nice that people can actually join me. I know BRW was there, and he just fell asleep. As it seems that Senior is doing too. But that's okay. I mean, if you want to use these live streams to fall asleep, that is very fine by me. I remember This is a good time, Janine says. Well, I'm very pleased. And of course, none of you have to stay here if you find it too boring. But as I say, you use it for to have a good night's sleep. And yeah. Alright, so we have one of the trees here. And it's 2013. Yeah, that's exactly the same time as it is here. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, I often see it as a bit of cheating, because it's just moving the brush instead of actually doing the details. But it's just to get the shadows going, so I'm not going to do them all the way up. And there are going to be trees on top of this and more details. But just so I have an idea of where this forest is going to be. By Cressy it is 2115. So yeah, let's see here what if we can plant a bit more, because the detail work will come a bit later. So a lot of this will be how you often see trees are done in landscape paintings, because people, well, they have lives and they don't want to spend hours and hours doing the details the way I do. And so you just move the brush along. But I usually use that just for to get the feel of it and to know where things should actually be. And now I have a bit more of an idea. Exact same time here. By Janine, it's 11:14, which is a very different time. I'm assuming. Guten Abend, Bashanti says guten Abend to you too. Krasi, where do you live again? I don't mind sharing, if you don't mind sharing. Right, you all have to decide how much you want to share here, obviously. Alright, so we have a little forest there, and then I think we would want the tree to be a lot closer. And we can just close off this completely, because I want the feeling of being inside of the forest. So now I'm not going to do much detail work at all. I'm just going to paint a little black wall at the end here, because I would like the focus to be very much on the mountain. And so we'll just decide that here it's just very much black. And we have the forest. And then, as I'm saying, keep saying, the details come a bit afterwards. And I think we could do something like that on the other side too, so we're not... BRW just joined. You're very welcome. We have the same son then, Amona. Oh, that's from Cressy. Yes. Cressy says hi to BRW too. Yes, in Israel you would be a bit in front of us here. I live in Germany, Bayerischen Wald. Oh, yes. And Brazil. Yeah, so we have, just like last time, we have a lot of different places represented. Well, this doesn't actually have to be as close. This is a question. How far into the forest are we? We can do some detail work in the front here and then decide. And it might be interesting to see, maybe we'll have a river. But I think we can plan some detail work at the other side. So we'll do something here and see how that looks. Although, now that I'm saying that, I think maybe a tree would be nice. Then we can have some branches out. So then we have a nice frame here. Let's see if you can get rid of this. Oh, we cannot. It's better the other way. So there we are. Make sure there are no airplanes in the painting. BRW says, I will look out for them. The second I see an airplane, I will remove it. And yell out if you see one. Or satellites. You wouldn't want those ruining it. Cressy, I remember you. I have special feelings toward Israel. Meaning it like, though I haven't been there, so I remembered you. Creative Kunstreise, I am living 20 kilometers away from Heidelberg, where I used to study. I live in the middle of Germany. Piet Marburg, Clara says. Alright, let's do some small details here, and then I think we'll do some lines just to see where we are. I can make it a bit lighter. But just to have an idea... and yeah, now that the chat is going a bit faster here, I think I will just repeat them once I actually address the question. And I'm very happy about you guys chatting along there. That is very good. It's nice to have a lively chat. Let's see here. Oh, like Emona talks about living in Israel. Yeah, that is probably a challenge when you tell people. But it must be possible to just say where you live. Surely people can be stupid. Alright, so now we're doing some detail work here. So for those of you who have just joined, this painting I just started. So we started this in the live stream from scratch. And it's not based upon anything. I just had an idea what I wanted. I wanted a nighttime painting with a tree. With a tree. Well, with a mountain. and some stars, and I just went off of that idea. Senpai has been translating that Arabic message. Yeah, that's wonderful if you do something like that. And it's good luck and lasting success. Well, thank you. That from SQY. Yeah, I would have translated it myself. I just can't when I'm doing the live streams. I'm very grateful to you. Absolutely. If someone writes something in a different language, I'll be very grateful if you want to translate it. That's brilliant. Krasi has the opposite and gets interested if people said they're from Israel. Yeah, that is very interesting. Right. So as I said, I'm going to come back here and do quite a lot of more of this detail work afterwards. I just wanted to get an idea of where the different things are going to be. And I'm not going to paint any trees in here yet because I'm not entirely sure what's going to be going on there. The stars, we will have to wait a bit until it's dried off a bit. And now I think it's time for some slight colors into the landscape. So the difficulty is often with a nighttime landscape, it's difficult to know what kind of colors to do. So we'll just do some very light brownish ones. Yes, it's stupid, Imona says, because I'm only a teenager and it wasn't even my choice. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're very free to tell everyone here, at least. And if anyone has a problem, I can kick them out of the chat. Scrolling through some comments get me out for some reason. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's very good. Thank you, Krasi, Imona says. All right, let's see here. So let's just do some light colors so that we know approximately where we are. So this line will join up to the tree here. We'll have a different line for the place here. And I am thinking it would probably be nice with a river, and then the stars can reflect in the river. So if I'm getting a bit more cute, Animal Stone is asking for the age of everyone. So my age is 30. I turned 30 in December, which sounds kind of scary to say, but at the same time I'm very happy to be done with my 20s. So yeah, if we do a very it's a very dark, quiet river here, that would be nice. And I think here it could be nice with some wider landscape. You can add some trees. There's lots and lots and lots to do. So while all of this is still blue, my plan isn't for this to be a completely winter landscape. It's just to have a good background. Krasi and Emuna are talking, which I am a big fan of, but I'm not going to repeat everything just because, well, all of you in the chat can read what's going on. And I'm so happy that we can have a wonderful little place here. Emuna says, I often find adults are easier to socialize with than teens. Yes, I thought so too as a teen. Absolutely. Teenagers, wonderful creatures that they are, can have tendency to be a bit exhausting. I'm past 30, let's say, Krasi says. Yes, do not feel pushed to having to answer that. I know age can be a sensitive topic. BRW says, how about paintings showing old-growth forests overlooking new trees, acknowledging they are protectors of the future? Yes, I know what you mean. The process is amazing to watch. You're talented. Says, Shul, Guru. Hi, Guru. Thank you. Senpai, hate to be that guy, but I'm not quite comfortable to say my age. Yeah, to BRW, I think absolutely. So a thing I love to do is to paint a really old tree and then to paint the young ones around it. So to imagine that the old one, the ones that we keep cutting down, they should actually be the ones that look after the next generation of trees. So I like that idea. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So we'll do some of the trees here looking really old, the big ones, and then we'll do some small ones around the same kind of tree. 42. I'm 68. I hope you kids don't mind. I think that's wonderful to have all ages here. Maybe we can get someone even over 80. That would be wonderful. I am 30, so I'll be in the middle, a bit further on the kids' side, I suppose, but somewhat in the middle. Yeah, I always thought it was such a shame, especially in school, that everyone is just sequestered into their age group and not being able to communicate with each other. And we are supposed to learn from each other. So it's wonderful to create a space where different ages can actually meet up. Because I think that happens, at least in the Western world, that doesn't happen too often. And it's a big shame. So I'm a great fan of having all different ages here in this stream. That is an enrichment. What a lovely life to watch. Must go for dinner, but hope, and I suppose something more comes. And to join you soon. Yes, please do have a wonderful dinner, and I'm going to continue this for quite a while. Would be wonderful to get quite a bit of this done. So I'll hopefully see you again later. Absolutely. No, so yeah, to get to that with the age, I am very pleased that everyone can feel welcome here. And that we can actually get some older people and some teenagers talking. I think that is just an enrichment for the world in general. I agree with you, Joachim. Different ages must be able to spend time together, Cressy says. Yeah, there should be much more of that. There are some projects where younger people and older people are living in the same house, for instance, and I'm a very big fan of that. Alright, so this river is going to stay quite dark because we want some reflections into it. Janine says, I agree, there is always something to learn from everyone. Yes, and the fact is, if you have just one age group together, exactly the opposite happens, because the worst things, I mean, all different ages have their own particular problems, and they can get exacerbated and much worse if you plop all of them together in one place. So much better with some variety, I think. Wow, it's amazing, Joachim. Your painting, of course, Amuna says, well, thank you. Cressy thinks so too, thank you. Alright, I think maybe some clouds in here, and in the clouds we can get some of the colors from the horizon into the painting. Loving that river, Janine says. Yeah, I hope that river can be quite nice. I have some idea of some glowing stars, and I can start with them very soon now. I really can't grasp how good you are. Well, thank you. That is too kind of you. But I appreciate it. Let's see here. We can get some slight red colors in here too, so that we can get that color going for just a bit more. I really do love it so far, Emona says. Thank you. Yeah, so we can get some of those reds in here. I like that, to have a painting that is that doesn't have too extreme colors, but we still use the entire palette. Because I know even at night, and this is early evening, it's there are still colors everywhere. You seem to be painting the group, old trees, young ones. Yes, that is exactly the plan. So I think that would be wonderful to do here. Let's get some inspiration from the chat, and we will paint the group and have all of the ages together. I think that's wonderful. So amazed how quickly you paint these fabulous, Janine says. Yes, thank you. I have sped up a lot since becoming professional now. My speed has gotten a lot better. I used to spend just enormous amounts of time on paintings, and they never finished. But the more I paint, the faster it does go. And then, of course, sometimes I learn new things, and it just takes ages, but then it can be built in. That's one of the good things with not straying too much from the... Of course, it's wonderful to experiment and do different things, but it is quite nice to have one style and stick to it. And then it's quite amazing how quickly you can do things once you've done them a thousand times. All right, let's try some stars, I think. So with the stars, I do them in layers, as I do almost everything else. So I'll do the shine behind first, and then we'll make a dot into it afterwards. And there'll be some white ones, some yellow ones, and we'll just experiment a bit, see what colors are nice. And I'll have to pick those spots that are a bit dry, because usually I would let it dry a bit further. And I'll have to grab my arm here, because I can't really bend too far, because then I'll crash into my phone, which I have in front of me. So I want the stars to glow, which means that I need to just paint the thing that'll be around it first. And then we'll get the dot in afterwards. And then once that is done, we can do some of the shine from the star. A shooting star, BRW says, yes, I've already gotten that suggestion. And I did say no to that this time. Maybe next time. I will have to experiment a bit first. I think maybe not this time. All right, and then we'll just plop the star onto that. I love it. I know it's unfinished, but I love it even as is. I think actually, if I see it somewhere, I wouldn't realize it's not finished. Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, we still have lots and lots and lots to do. And that's the same thing for the stars. The seasons change until this picture is over. Well, that might not be such a bad thing. But if you hope that this picture is going to be over very soon, I think I'm going to have to disappoint you. It is going to take a while. But I appreciate that you actually seem to stick with me, even though you seem to be falling a bit asleep, which, as I said, is very much fine. But you do seem to stick around, so... Alright. So I think we'll just do the big ones first, the ones, so not everyone is going to get a large glow around it. That is certainly not a disappointment, Senpai says. The time, I suppose. So yeah, I'll just have to decide a bit where they are, and this won't dry too quickly, so I can go around and finish it. So I'm not going to do too many stars right away. You can see how many we're going to do. Just want to place them, and then I'll go over them again. I once saw a shooting star. Amuna says it was so cool because I live in a pretty polluted town. Yeah, there are some nights of the year where there are so many shooting stars that you can see really huge one. I remember I saw one with green tail once. It was quite incredible. I could do something like that at some point, but it's very difficult to do these natural phenomena without, and even if you do them very much the way they look, people will still see that that's not possible. Ashanti says, your voice is very soothing. I'm not surprised people could fall asleep. Yeah, well, if you want to use this as a good night kind of a thing, I'm very happy to provide that too. Nowadays, it's hard to decipher them between satellite. Yeah. Well, if a star keeps moving along the horizon or just among the sky, then often it is a satellite, or a UFO, of course. Yeah, the satellites do kind of crowd the picture, and they are actually everywhere. It doesn't matter how far away you are. BRW says, in a future painting, you could focus on the beginning of a volcanic eruption, as if the trees are looking at the mountain and saying to themselves, here comes trouble. Yeah, a volcanic eruption. I have to go to Iceland at some point and experience that. Well, of course, the eruption I probably won't, but just to feel the heat of a volcano would probably be the right inspiration for something like that. I still haven't experienced or seen any volcanoes. I don't know how it is. Let's see if we can plop the stars in. If I go a bit quiet, it is because I want to get these points at exactly the right spot. So I know people sometimes just spread out to do the stars, but I like to do every single one individually so that I have better control. And we can get a bit a brighter star here. A lot of shooting stars here. On a clear sky because of no light. Yeah, we have a bit of light pollution here. We have a lot of stars, but we have just enough that it is a bit annoying. So I'm looking forward to moving somewhere where there's even less. I'm not sleepy though. I'm working alongside, but very different from your style. Well, a lot of different styles are wonderful, and I'm so glad that you can work at the same time and get inspired. I really like that. So I think this one is going to be one of our brighter ones, and we can do a little shine off it. All right. Well, I'll do a few more stars just to get it spread a bit more. I don't want it just at the top. Let's see if I can find another brusher. I think we'll do a few stars here and here and here, and then we can work our way down again. So the way you see that I'm going to do it from now on is I'm just going to wander through the painting, and eventually things kind of appear and so on. As I said earlier, I don't have a plan for this, and so I just go around the painting and see, oh, that needs a bit, oh, that needs a bit. How can someone start painting without experience? What are your recommendations? So, the way I did, this is fantastic, tusen tack. What are your recommendations, Joachim? So my recommendation is, the way I started is really to just paint and not to make too much of a fuss of it. Don't have a big expectation. Just get some colors and paint something. The thing I did, I just got the painting kit from my grandfather, and I just painted a kid's painting basically. So a stem, a green top, and blue sky. And that was my first painting, and then I went off from that and based other things upon what I just did. What I very much did in the beginning, and I can really recommend that, is to do river or roads into the painting to get that, it depends on what kind of painting, obviously not if it's abstract, just to get the perspective, because that does make it a lot easier. But my recommendation would just be to start. So I never painted from photos. A few times I did, to be honest, but that was for practice. But if you don't paint from photos, then you can really just start, and there's no pressure at all. So I actually recommend that. If you paint from a photo, you can always see what you're not getting right and what you're not managing and so on, and you can always be unhappy with yourself. But if you don't paint from a photo, there's no reference point of how it should look, and it's a very different experience. There's a meteor shower over the next few days, Senpai says. That is interesting. I'm going to have to look at that. I think we're going to have a clear sky and it's a bit warmer now. That sounds nice. And Lena could do some time lapses too. She loves doing that. If there's a clear sky, it looks wonderful in the videos. That is very good information. I'm going to have to look out. I love those meteor showers. Alright, I think we can actually do some much bigger stars eventually. But now we have a few. And I think that's good for now. Let's see if we can get rid of this annoying... Well, the thing is that I'm moving the painting too much around. We might move it a bit like this. And we can get rid of a bit of this reflection there. Perception is always a task for me. I need more practice, Janine says. Yeah, that is one of the more difficult things in a more naturalistic style of painting in the beginning. that is difficult, and you just really have to practice it. I remember clouds were a huge problem for me in the beginning, how to do it in depth. But practice really, and have fun with it, of course. And then you can just have this tiny little moments where you realize, oh, it's so much better than last time, and so on. I'm using local info, as I said, searching Lyreid meteors in your area. Yeah, of course, these meteor showers, they do have different areas, that's true. The Black Night Cup is simply amazing. To the casual observer, not noticeable, but when you look closely, you see the wonderful blending of deep purple to dark blue to dark black, and then the stars. BRW just got a candle glass. Arrived in the mail, which you bought from me, and I'm so glad that you like it. That really makes me happy. Alright, let's get some color in the foreground here. And as I said, this isn't actually going to be a winter one, so I think we're going to get some green in. Are these places somewhere in Norway, or are you creating from your mind? I am creating from my mind, so this isn't anywhere. I just had an idea of a night-ish painting, and I wanted a mountain and some stars. And that's it. It's going to look... most of my paintings do look somewhat like Norway, but that's because I'm basing them on... well, not basing them, but the things that I have in it are things that I have around me and been inspired by, and that's usually going to be the place that I live, unless I've seen something. Good evening, everyone. Rahel says, good evening to you. Well, you're welcome to that. I'm so happy you joined, basically. and welcome to the stream. Yeah, so this is just completely from my mind. It's an imagined place, so it could be anywhere and nowhere. And yeah, now that we're getting some colors into it, and I think I would like to some colors all the way up here, and I think some trees would be nice here too, so we can have quite a huge landscape. I see no reason why this should stay like this. I think we can add an enormous amount of details into this painting. But further up the mountain, I think this part could be very nice with just ice and snow. And we can do some, I'll do that right now just to get an idea of it. Some exposed rock, which would have to, we'll see what kind of color makes that happen. Yes, the cup, BRW. If I said candle glass, I'm sorry. A cup. The nighttime cup. That was my first night cup that I did, and I was very happy with it, and I'm so glad you got it. I bought a special kind of black just to be able to finish that one. And there's silver stars, and yeah, I really enjoyed painting it. That is, of course, something I do wish I could do in oil painting too. I had to paint with silver and gold, but I haven't found any gold oil painting that does that, even though I have some gold that I might be able to paint on wood. So yeah, we see if this creates that feeling of there being some exposed rock. And that gives it all a bit more of that far-off mountain feel. And then, since it's an imaginary thing, you always have to try to figure out where would the rock be exposed. So that's going to be the steep areas and the areas with the sun. So the areas that the snow can't actually go on, and where the wind will blow it off. So on these tops, the wind will blow it away, and then the sun might come. So that could be exposed. How about a small Swiss Toblerone bar near the mountain? I think I might pass on that suggestion. I think we can enjoy this without chocolate. But otherwise, a lot of your suggestions have been good, so do keep coming. And you have to excuse me for not following all of them. And it would be nice to start with some of the reflections in the water. At this point, it often becomes difficult to know exactly where to focus, and I just really almost randomly wander around the painting. But now a lot of the details are starting to appear, and I always like that, because you start with an empty canvas and then eventually things kind of come. Senpai says it's your painting after all. Janine says, yes, it is definitely a challenge purchasing things from you, as everyone must feel the same way and want a piece of some kind. Well, I think since October, I have sold about 250 different items, from cups to glasses to paintings. And it is a wonderful feeling knowing that my paintings are now all over the world, enjoying their own private little museums and galleries. So that is really a joy. Quite overwhelming to think that so many of the things that I have created are now have homes. And I mean, that number is quite extreme as well. I'm still not getting used to the fact that there's so much. I'm not fast enough, I guess, Janine says. Well, it does go pretty fast, that's true. Any suggestion on cleaning the glass cup before using? BRW says, well, actually, you can do anything you want to it. It's burned in, so you can put it into the dishwasher if you like. You can wash it with soap. You don't have to be afraid of the paint going off. So you can just wash it in the normal way. And you can very much put it into the dishwasher too. It's been burnt at 800 degrees, so it can take quite a bit of use. So you don't have to be afraid of the paint going off. And if the paint does go off, then I will very much be happy to repair it. I still haven't heard about that happening on any of the cups. But I will do that for free if there's anything, because that will be on me. You might have a gallery exhibition sometime in the future. You never know. Now, this is true, Senpai. Now, of course, it's not really necessary, and we don't really have time for it. But at some point, it might be nice. One goal is to have a little shop near our farm. It doesn't have to be open all the time, but it could be a place that people could actually come and look at things. And I have a few things, quite a few things, that aren't going to be in this store, and in the internet store. And it would be nice to have a place where people can actually come by, and that could be something like a mixture between a gallery and a shop. And just a place for people to actually come and visit. And a gallery could be something, but it's not on the horizon yet. Because with an internet shop, you just really don't need it. So the goal would be something else than sale. It would be more to actually show yourself in the world, and we might do that, but it'll take some time. Because we have a lot of plans, and something like that would take up such amount of energy and effort. And we still have to find our farm. So what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to figure out where the landscape is. So I'm painting tiny little lines everywhere to get perspective and to figure out where things are. I almost feel like I wouldn't want too many people, though. I prefer a bit of peace and quiet, Senpai says. Janine says it almost feels like there's a moon hiding behind the big trees on the left with a warm light falling. Oh, I know what you mean. Oh, that would be amazing, Joachim. And Muna says, yeah, I think so. So I just imagined some kind of an old little Harry Potter feeling for the store, with that little bell. And I think that could be really wonderful. I thought exactly the same, Rael says to Janine's comment. Well, it is too late to actually paint the moon in there, unless I'll do that after it's dried. So, but I think you can always imagine these things. And maybe that is where the moon is hiding. Since this isn't actually based on a picture, that is very much possible. I hope you find your farm, Munez. Thank you. We are starting to get quite impatient, actually. We just really, really want a farm. And Lena has been working with horses all her life and would really like to do that. I would love to have a garden and a forest. I would love to purchase a forest at some point and leave it so that it could just grow old, and I know that it's never going to be chopped down. That would be wonderful. So this summer we are going to, after the next launch, after the next big launch, and not this weekend but in a month or so, we are going to start driving again, and we found the area and we hope we find our farm there. Krasi says, I was very impressed about your dream to have a store. I keep reminding myself about the door with the bell you mentioned. Yeah, yeah. I really like that idea. And just an old house with just a feeling that you're going into a different world. A bit like the feeling that I like to have in my paintings, that when you're in the store you can just forget everything else. You mentioned it in the video of, yes, the video that Lena made about me. Yeah, that's what I did mention the store there. That is one of the bigger dreams that I have. And it would just be so wonderful to be able to create that world. I always love creating worlds, and it would be wonderful to do one in actuality. And then to have like really huge candle holders so that the shadow will just fill the room with shadows of trees and so on. And I think you could do just an incredible mood in such a store. Alright, I think now we have a little, well, I'll do a little bit of lighting here, and then we can actually start planting some trees so that you can get the depth. It'll be amazing. Yes, Gracie says, yes, I think so. It would just be so incredible. Emerald put, can I live in a cabin in your forest? We will definitely have some, there are old cabins and farms around in those places, so we hope to have a guest cabin. Yes, the doorbell sounds so cute. Yeah, and you know that just the feeling of these places, I think that's kind of ingrained culturally into us. And just such a forest and a store. Yeah, we have lots of dreams, and we are actually quite goal oriented. So I really think that is going to happen. Elizabeth says, hello everybody. That sounds amazing. Can totally imagine such big glasses and shadows. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. It's a wonderful feeling knowing you're protecting trees, Senpai says. My father had the exact same feeling. We only kept invasive plants and bracken under control, left the rest part of from fencing. Saplings from the sheep. Right. Yeah, so actually preserving something and knowing that it's not going to... So you can actually just fall in love with everything, and it's not going to disappear. And our forests just really need some peace and quiet from humans, and we need some safe havens for different species and so on. And even if you chop the trees down after 100 or 200 or 300 years, you're still destroying, or you're even doing more damage than if you just so just leaving them and letting them rot, the ones that fall down, not doing any cleanup and just enjoying it would be wonderful. Alright, I think we can paint some trees far in the background here. I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm just going to do some really dark black trees so that we get the distance. So the same way you would do it with a river, a really nice way of seeing the distance and creating the depth is just the size of trees. So for instance here, this is not as close as it looks, and we're going to do some lines, but I'm going to plant a tree, and we can then see how far we are actually away. And I think since this mountain is going to be a really, really big mountain, then even this tree, which is actually quite close, we'll make it really small. And then we'll do some tiny, tiny trees, and we'll just follow it all the way. And a lot of these things with depth and so on is really just about kind of showing the observer, guiding them into the painting. And now we know about kind of how big everything is here. What are you filming this with? How do you read the comments? So I am filming it with my phone. And I have the phone right in front of me. And I'm looking over the phone to paint. So that's the way I can read the comments. That's also the reason why I am going to have trouble with bigger bigger paintings, because I'm not entirely sure how to place the phone, but maybe I'll need a second phone to read off. I have an old one, I can read the comments there. But yeah, so I'm using a phone I have just right here, and I have the painting high enough that I can just look over the top of the phone. Alright, and then it's nice to follow the line, and we'll have another tree here, and then we'll know the entire way where everything is. And then here, it will be quite a bit smaller again, and then I think over here we'll just do dots basically. But the lovely thing about the mind is, as long as it kind of sees a progression, eventually just dots will be interpreted as trees. So a lot of landscape painting is really about trickery, might be the wrong word, but something like that. How did you start painting on a standing canvas versus laying? And doesn't your hand start hurting? What are the benefits of painting this way in your option? Yeah, well, so I always painted on a standing, except for in the very beginning, I think. So my hand, for some reason, doesn't really start hurting, but I always, if I do some, most of my work that you see now, I will have my hand resting on something. The benefit is that I see it in the way it is supposed to be seen once it's finished. That's one. And it's difficult to talk about the benefits since I don't really paint with the canvas lying down. So I think if it's lying, of course, there are other benefits. You can, in a way, you can get closer, and you can have different. You can paint like this, for instance, instead of painting like this. But I like the fact that I can. Well, it's difficult to say about the benefits because I'm not entirely sure if it is beneficial because I haven't really tried the other way of doing it much. I know I did some Chinese calligraphy and painting, and then you do it like this and in the other direction, and that is quite nice too. This is super nice. You're a true creator, Christy says. I would love to stand next to this river and breathe the fresh air. It's wonderful. About the small gallery idea, Senpai says, it's certainly possible. There are a few in my region on local artist, Griffey Williams, who was knighted. His style is very different. He does landscapes. Yeah, I think a small gallery is absolutely possible. I mean, you only really need a room. We have more than enough online presence, so we don't need lots of people to come by. It's more for the feeling of having it there. Hi, Calix says. Well, hi to you. Welcome to the stream. And paints lots of dogs. He is very celebrated because he's Welsh. Yeah, well, small areas often like their local painters. And not that Wales is that small compared to places here in Norway, but still. There are lots of local painters here too. And they will have their own little farm galleries and so on. The thing I like about a store is that I could do it a bit different than just an exhibit. And maybe it doesn't have to be just a store. There could be some chairs and things around, and you can kind of sit and just talk a bit as well. And what I very much would like to do is to have the store/gallery be a bit like coming into, as I said, a different world, into a forest or we jump at the chance to celebrate famous Welsh people. Yes, I know the feeling from small towns in Norway. They are very excited to have just someone doing something that is known outside of the area. Alright, so these trees now are going to have to be very small. But since you see the trees all the way, I am hoping that we can trick the mind into seeing them as trees. I thought too about it in this way, Elizabeth says, you see, how it has been in the ending beginning of its life. I am thinking about that lately, as I am working on book illustrations. Not quite sure which way I could best paint vertically aligned. It is a challenge. I think it is actually the reason why I hesitated so much about saying the benefits about painting in this way is that I actually think it is better for your back to do it the other way. I know that the Chinese painters spent a lot of time trying to figure out which way you should actually sit. But I know that the monks used to do it in this way, and surely they must have thought about that too. I found that very important is how you sit and what kind of chair. So if I have the wrong chair for too long, then my back starts aching a lot, and I need a hard back chair that supports my back when I paint. And since I do a lot of this and detail work and I have to get very close, if I have a painting lying there on the table, I will keep putting my hand into it and my arm into the painting and ruining it, which is also one reason why I just can't do that. And if it's a very large painting, then this really just is preferable, because you can access all parts of the painting. And often I'll wait for the painting to dry so that I can actually stick my little finger on top of it. I know people use sticks, but I just use my hand. That would not be good, Senpai says. No, it isn't. It's not a good feeling to just suddenly see an imprint of your arm in your painting. Okay, so now I think we have a lot of the detail. I think that this might be we'll just make this mountain, this hill, be separate from the mountain itself with a little line here. All right. I think it all depends on your medium you're using. Yes, I sit and stand in front of my easel like Joachim. It might be easier to achieve perspective. Yes, that is true. So it's just it's preference and it's the medium. So stunning how much to consider about painting material, sitting, perspective from the painting. Yeah, there are so many things. All right. So one thing that might be nice now is to do some work with this river. But I am a bit daunted because I'm not entirely sure how to go about it. So I think some parts of it, it could actually be flowing, and other parts it'll be still. So I think the way to do it is to start painting some color into it, but then keeping in mind what areas should be moving and which areas shouldn't. So I'll use just some light, there's some blues into it, some white and blues, kind of the color of the sky, to try to denote those areas that, so I think for instance here we'll have the water is actually flowing. All of these bends basically. And we can flow here above some rocks. Maybe even a bit closer. We'll just have it flowing a bit here. So often I'll just do the entire river, but since we want a lot of reflections from, well, I'm going to have to do a lot more stars if you want some nice star reflections from the stars here. We can only do some parts of it. I haven't done a river at night or late early evening yet, so this is quite new to me. So I'm just gonna have to see how this goes. I can do some reflections from the environment too, but for that, yeah, so if this is black, I'll just do the color of the hills into it here. just to get some life into the stream. And for the forwards, it might be nice to actually have them a lot wider. So a lot of this will change. It's just to get an idea of where things should be, how the water's going to flow. So I don't know if any of you have tried painting from imagination, but it's a very different process than painting from a picture. And you keep having to try to figure out what's actually going on in your painting. And I think, for instance, up here, it might be running a bit faster. I don't think you're not gonna see any of the reflection from the stars here anyway. So we might as well have some movement. And then we'll run this. The bigger parts can be still here. No, I don't think we're going to see any reflections there either. A lot of these things seem wonderful when you think about them, and then once you try to do them, it just becomes a bit more difficult. But we'll see. I think I'm just going to do a bit more here, and then some of the closer trees. And decide where the branches are going to be here so that we're not going to obscure any of the stars afterwards. 90% of my art is from my mind. At first I found it difficult, but now it's just natural. Yes, so in the beginning it will be very difficult, especially if you have painted a lot from pictures. The transition can be very hard. But then eventually it just becomes natural, and how you do it. So in a way you're very free, but in another way you're very restricted, because you can only paint the things that you know how they. Well, if you have to know how they look. But for practice, I did sometimes a few things. I did copy too, and that's very nice. So if you copy works, you get a feel for how the painter did it. Another painter did it, and you can learn techniques, and that is very helpful. So if you're just learning how to paint, I can really recommend trying to copy some things too. Because a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to recreate nature, and it's a shame not to try to learn from that. Sometimes I was too stubborn, and then eventually once I realized, okay, I can actually learn from others, it did open up a few new avenues. I might have some leaves and plants I can send before long. Senpai says the leaves are growing a bit bigger every day. Yes, please do. I am starting on Rahel's leaves now and trying to learn them. They should be appearing soon. Pictures of initially, yeah, that's fine. Just anything, really. The wonderful thing about pictures that you send, because obviously I can look up things myself, but I won't necessarily know what to look for even, so sometimes it can just be a wonderful surprise and something new. Alright, then we have quite a bit of the river, and I think I'll just do like 2 stars into the river so that we can actually see how that will look eventually. So in order to do that, you of course have to decide which star. So we'll just do this one, and we'll decide that this star comes here. It would be nice with something here, and that will then be a bit, let's see, this is always a bit difficult. So this one is here. The ones higher up would be here, so this will be a bit lower down. So here, we'll have a new star. I think that's right. And the nice thing is, if once we have the stars reflected here, we can eventually do some shadows of trees, for instance, so that you really get that feeling that that's in the water, and just to get the illusion going properly. So this one actually turned out quite strongly. Well, let's see, a lot of this can be perfected later. So there we have some stars. I think that's going to look really nice eventually, when we really have stars going in the entire stream here. Now I think it is time for those trees, and we will do it a bit like BRW suggested. For instance, this spruce here, I can make look much older, and then we can have those spruces around it. They will then be the young ones. I'll send pictures of leaves, twigs, videos of entire trees for the ones I've named in past live streams. Some you'll probably recognize, but possibly not the name that I used. Yeah, that would be great, thank you. BRW. I grew up in East Africa and enjoyed the landscape of Kenya and the Congo, but the military forced us out. Alright, the Congo. Oh, that would be incredible. I am sorry that happened to you. Those landscapes must be incredible. Sea of Greenwich says, I can finally catch a stream. Oh my, a deep night sky. Yes, you're very welcome here. Thank you. Been wanting to see these for so long. Well, then I'm so glad that you managed to get here and that you can be a part of this stream. Eventually, it looks great now, well, thank you. It will look even better than let's say that. Okay, so I think if we imagine that this is a really old tree, then for instance, we can imagine that it broke once, and this is a new part of it. And this top here, for instance, broke off in a storm. I will just make it a bit... I have to get my hand in here so that I can grab my hand. So BRW's suggestion was that these trees will have one that's... And I like to do that anyway myself. That this is a really old tree, and then we'll have the children around it. It's so small. How are you today, Joachim? Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Yes, it is small. So most of my paintings that I paint are about this size. Quite a few are somewhat bigger, and just a very few are the larger size. This, of course, fits wonderfully into a live stream. The nice things with these small ones is that it's so focused. So I can really focus in on the details. And even on the larger paintings, I will still keep this level of details, which means that they take me quite a long time. Because I don't just blow up the sizes for the larger paintings. I actually keep the details and just paint a larger painting. And the trees in the foreground get a lot larger, but the ones in the background do not get larger at all. They are just as small, and I can just have a lot more depth. Small window into a deep scenery. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so that's, of course, I do love the huge landscape where you can really just fall into it. But yeah, here you just have to imagine that it is huge and lose yourself that way. You're so good at those details, Krasi says. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love detail work. I am speeding it up a bit now for you guys, but usually it is about the speed anyway. Because while I love spending time with the details, there's so much to do, so I always do try to get a bit faster so I can get more details in. Is this A5? Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know the size of A5. So this is 18 times 24. Can that be right? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's in the A5 and A4. I don't think it's in that size. I think it's maybe it might be American sizes, and it is a bit different. But I think it's approximately A5. It's okay. I can take the Alice in Wonderland potion, get very small, and fall into this one. Yes, please do that. And then you can very much become a part of it. So the thing I like, I don't see these this often because most of the forests here have been chopped down at least once in the last 100 years. But when you see a spruce that is really hundreds of years old, you can see that the shape changes, and you don't get just a normal Christmas Christmas tree look. It just becomes a lot more intricate than that, and I'm trying to recreate that a bit here. You could also be a brain surgeon with those steady hands. Yeah, I think a brain surgeon, well, it might be creative work, but it seems very different. And I think the pressure is a lot less here. But I appreciate that you can see the details properly. It's truly amazing. Painting night must be pretty difficult. A4 is something with 21 centimeters, I believe. Yeah, so it's in that area. Night is difficult in the sense that I'm not used to it, but otherwise I think it will become easier once I've done it a bit more. I've done a few nighttime paintings now. The most difficult thing is just to figure out what kind of colors to use. Because I like to imagine that when I'm painting a night painting, that I'm just enhanced our senses a bit, so that it is quite dark, but since we are in my little imaginary world, we have all gotten a bit have a few super senses, and we can see the colors better, and that way I can kind of invite us all into a quite dark night, but with a good vision, and to see how it would look if we had different senses. Hi, Harsha says. Hi, welcome to the stream. You are very welcome. So, to those of you who don't know, I started this in the stream, so we have been painting this from scratch. And I thought it was nice to invite you guys along the entire way, so we're probably not going to finish this painting, but quite a lot of it is done here. And people are saying hello to Harsha, which is wonderful. I'm really enjoying the wonderful mood here and how kind you guys are to each other. And I really thought and think it's a really nice thing that to just create this little space here where everyone can chat and watch some painting and just calm down a bit from all of the stresses and all of the different things that are happening. What? Elizabeth says, when did you start? Well, I'm not sure how long we've been. I think it's an hour ago we started, and this was a blank canvas. So I will be putting it out on YouTube, and you will be able to see the entire process there. Yeah, it must be an hour ago. This was a blank canvas. And earlier today, I painted that from scratch, the one above us. But I didn't do a video of that. I just wanted to get into painting before I started the live video. Alright, so now we'll do the children of this tree. I think the canvas is just a bit bigger than A5. Senpai says, yes, that should be right. Yeah, so now we're painting the children here. No way, Elizabeth saying. Well, thank you. Well, this is my professional job, and I did realize at some point that I had to become a bit faster if I was going to live off it. And so I did. But in the beginning, something like this would have it could have lasted months to get like this. Thank you for this space, Joachim. It is amazing, Cressy says. Oh, that is so nice of you to say. I am so glad that you guys are enjoying the space. I know that it's really enriching my everyday life here, and I'm so glad that I started doing this. Janine says, yes, we are all amazed. I appreciate that. I remember the first paintings I finished, they took ages. But that's the nice thing with just sticking to one particular kind of painting style, is the fact that you can, without having to sacrifice quality, you can just become faster. So yeah, so I think one thing that does happen to the pine, the spruces, is that you can get these really huge bottom branches, and I think we'll do one of those. So if you've ever seen a spruce that is ancient, it will have these enormous branches on the bottom unless it's deep in the forest, because they will have had so much time to just spread out and catch every little bit of light. I really would like to recreate that feeling. I have to visit a few more of them to recreate the feeling of old growth forests in my painting, because most of the forests most of us know about are well, they're kind of plantations in a way, because they're chopped down all the time and they never get the time to really develop. And so at least in my paintings I would like to create that feeling and the look, just so you can actually know how an old growth forest looks, because the feeling is just so different when you're in an old growth forest that has never or almost not been chopped down. You can just feel that everything has had so much time with each other and all of the plants, and it's a very different feeling than just in a normal forest. I too really appreciate this space, Elizabeth says, in your lives. As you say, finding positive company is pretty precious these days. Yes, it absolutely is. So once we manage to create these spaces, we really have to keep them. It's been remarkably pleasant to just have a little space here and invite everyone in. And as I've said, I would do this anyway. This is my job. And then being able to invite people from all over the world to join me is just really amazing. So yeah, here I think we have at least, it might not be 1,000 years old, but I think we can have the feeling that this tree has been around for a long time. And all of these other trees come from it. And so yeah, these I started on just to make the background. So the way I'll do it now is to use the shadows here and then paint details on top of it. So the way I decide when my paintings are finished, this one isn't finished for quite a while, but the way I decide it is usually by the details. So once everything is at the same level of detail, which means that all of these things, for instance, they all have to be painted out. Because I like it to be possible to just stare at the painting for hours and always see more, but also to just have this finished feeling and look, and that means that everything should be at the same level of detail. The second reason for watching the stream is that I enjoy chatting, but find it exhausting in person, but not online. I love talking to different people than just the ones I see in person. Yeah, that is true. I know that is true for a lot of people, that social interactions can be quite exhausting in person, and there's so much more going on, and there are different social cues, and there are different ways of behaving, and so on. But online, suddenly things can be more relaxed, and you can be perhaps a bit more yourself, even, especially in these settings. And it's wonderful to be able to provide that. And yeah, different people, not the ones that are always around you in your everyday life. So I'm really, really glad that you're enjoying that, and that people here are starting to get to know one another. So I definitely think that these live streams are just the beginning. They have been so enjoyable that I hope we can keep doing this for years. I am not going anywhere, and so I see no reason why they should stop. And eventually I'll probably get some better equipment too. But that can wait for later. Plus, I have one of the most calming voices talking. I appreciate that. Janine agrees to the comment before that, I suppose. Yes, it's nice to be able to spend positive time with people. Jack, I totally understand you. Yes, absolutely. I think Jack put it very, very well. I agree, Elena says, so soothing voice for tutorials. Yeah, I thought actually about doing, well, this might be to a certain extent a tutorial, but to do a more proper tutorial at some point. And to actually show a bit how the process works. But I suppose that, this video very much functions like a tutorial, because I think I talked quite a bit about how the process goes. And Senpai, thanks, Krasi and Janine. And Elena. So now we have, I think we can do some tiny little tree babies here around too, but I can see that this one still has to be painted. And here we have almost finished our little forest grove. What I do like to do too is to imagine how the sun would work and how the trees grow in relation to each other. So if we imagine that the sun goes here, this tree would have the shadows from these, and it would grow most of its branches on the right side. So we'll just do some small branches here, and the tree has here decided not to grow too much and lost these. And most of the branches and its pine needles, its leaves, will be on this side. And that is very helpful for painting from imagination, is to know a few of these things about how trees grow. Got to remember my P's and Q's. My parents taught me well, Senpai says. Yes, that is true, but not too many, I hope. Anybody seen the documentary from your mountain? Somehow remember me of Mount Meru at night. I don't think I have. I will have to take a look at that. The mountains remind me. Oh, that would be fun to see my mountain in real life. There's still quite a bit of work to do on that mountain. We'll get there. I think once I do this grove, I'll have to see where we turn next. I think maybe some of those trees in the foreground would be nice to do, because those have the least amount of work. But let's do a few little tree children here. It's just so we get all the generations. All right, then we have a grove. And yeah, so if we're going to do the trees on the side, it would be wonderful for this not to... Well, it doesn't seem like I can get rid of this shine there. But let's see if we can do some of the detail work. I think since the shine is there anyway, I'll just get this a bit more close. It's about his aura, I guess. And this one part in the front. Right, about the mountain. Yeah, I know what you mean. The feeling of the mountain. The energy of the mountain. So I think we'll get some branches into it. I always like that. If we get some branches a bit further into the painting, you can often get the feeling of standing in the middle of it a bit more. And to actually feel like you are a part of it. And here, since it's this close, we can actually manage to do some leaves. I think we'll just do some of the branches first. What I would like to is to have a bit more in the foreground. it's an imaginary composition or using a reference? It is an imaginary composition, so I'm not using a reference at all. I just started with the idea of a night with a mountain. So it's completely imaginary, and yeah, so you can just about decide where you think that it is located. So the way I always paint is just from imagination, and I will have learned the different trees and so on before. Not these particular ones, but just the shapes and so on. And otherwise, it's just yeah, imagine my imagination. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Maybe you once would want to paint a frozen lake or river in winter. I have done that a few times, and yeah, I would like to do more of that. I really like that, the frozen lakes. I can do some wonderful reflections and just having the ice break up and so on. So yeah, I do like that. One of the reasons why I didn't want this to be a completely winter painting is that I am I'm starting to get a bit sick of winter. But I am sure I will get into it way before the winter is here, because usually around summertime, really, I start looking forward to winter again. Or maybe Jonna Jinton's singing Ice too. Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, so just so there's that feeling of the power of the ice. It is wonderful to get into paintings. Can I look one of them up now? I am trying to think if on my Instagram I probably have an ice river painting, but I'm not entirely sure. So the only place I could think of where that might be would be on my Instagram, but I'm not entirely sure if that is on there. I know one that I did a long time ago could be there, but it would be quite far down. Otherwise, I think I have a small one, which should be there. No, they will be on my Instagram, I think. On our homepage, we only have the ones that are sold recently or are still for sale, and I don't think there is an ice river painting on sale at the moment. I think it would be my Instagram. I think there is. Well, yeah, you have to. I was just gonna say you have to find my Instagram, but obviously this live stream is on my Instagram. And now I can hear that my headphones are giving up, but I have a second pair that don't need battery. So if things are going to be a bit shaky now, that's because I have to remove that one and get rid. And let's see. I hope that you guys will be able to hear me. Let's see now. So let's see. Can you guys hear me? I now have a new microphone in, and I really hope that it's possible to hear me. Sure, if no one's saying anything, then I'm going to assume that you can't. But oh yes, Rahel says, wonderful. All right, that's very good, because that really is the only other option I have. Yes, but not as loud. Well, I don't think I can talk a bit louder. That's really is the only way I can change it, because I don't think I can get the microphone any closer to me. But if you guys can hear me now, that's good. Not so loud, but clear. Okay. Maybe if I change it onto here, is it louder now? Otherwise, we'll turn up the volume. All right, I'll try to speak a bit louder. But I'm pretty sure that once I get to concentrate again here, I will, my voice will go down a bit again. Better. Okay, good. Then I think we'll keep it like this. Alright, so I would want to do a bit of work here too. But since you guys can't really see it too well because of this very annoying shade, I could do something like this. Let's see here. Because that's always these reflections that are really very much annoying while you paint and film at the same time. Alright, so I have this piece of paper here. This is going to be very much improvised. Alright, that's okay. And now we can do some work on this tree. Or see if that's what we want to do. I'm just going to do a bit of branches here, just to get that feel. So the thing that I'm doing now is just I'm wandering around. That's good. I think that is better. Now you can see the painting a bit more clearly. And now that I noticed that that's not exactly what I want to do. I want to do a bit of work on the mountain, because I think it would be nice if that mountain... So if you could light up the mountain a bit, I think that would be good. So we can't actually do this live stream for too long, sadly, because my battery is going and I only have these loudspeakers that need the battery connection. But we'll see how long it goes. And I think I won't do any more work on that and this until another stream, and we'll see, maybe we'll finish it there. Alright, let's see if we can get this mountain to shine a bit more. So while it is night, we can still imagine that the light in the background can highlight the snow a bit more. And we can make it all stand out a bit. But I think actually we've already done 2 hours here, which isn't bad at all. And I think we have a good 15 minutes, half an hour still of battery. We must send you extra batteries. That would probably be good. I need to invest in a second pair of loudspeakers probably. Yeah, I always love this part of a painting, when I can start just focusing in on the details. I really enjoy that. And Guillaume claps. That is a thank you. I appreciate that. So this is so nice. I can just wander around the painting and spend time at different places. Elizabeth asks, I'd be curious, do you have a schedule or do you paint when you're in the mood? So I do kinda. I don't have a fixed schedule, but in a certain extent I treat it like a job. Not really, but not in the normal way of having a job. But I usually paint about kind of 8 hours a day. So I wake up and then I will start painting pretty quickly, and I will spend most of my day doing it. So it's not so much after inspiration. I will often get inspired while painting, so I can't really wait for that. It is so beautiful. Thank you. So instead of waiting for inspiration and then painting, I will just start painting and then I'll get in the mood, basically. And a lot of the things that I have to do, I don't need to be too inspired for. But now that we've gone completely professional and this is the main income, I have started painting a lot more. And yeah, so I usually paint from a little bit after waking up, and then it can go quite late, but we will usually end the day quite a bit earlier than this. So I think we can even do some brighter white at some places and just really make it shine a bit more. It's actually good to not make it too long, because if I upload them to YouTube, it just takes an enormous amount of time. But yeah, once I start painting, I can just really paint for ages. And I'm quite impressed that so many of you are following me for this long. So yeah, some really, really bright spots I think would be nice. I'm not too bothered about thinking about if this is right, but since it was mentioned that we're imagining a moon over there, then this could be moonlight. A light from the mountain peak, you just added, is amazing. Oh, thank you, that's very good to hear. I thought it should shine a bit more. As if the moon shines on it, yes. So I think I'm a fan of the fact that we'll just say that the moon is over there, and I'll add some light into the clouds too to get that effect a bit more. And so we just decided, I think, that the moon, even though I'm not going to paint it, is over there to the left, and this is the light from it. I'm having a great time, Crassus says. It's so relaxing and positive. That is, I am so pleased that you think that. And yeah, I think I like that idea of the moonlight shining in. And I think we're not going to do it all the way to the bottom. You can just imagine that the main moonlight just hitting the top of the mountain here. I think you underestimate the enjoyment we get from you painting in these streams. Maybe. I am starting to figure it out a bit more though. I'm so happy. We can't pull ourselves away. Thank you, Janine. And thank you, Rahel, too. Well, I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying this. It really makes me want to continue. Absolutely magical and enhanced as well. Yes, Jack, we could not. How would we not follow along? Well, I'm so happy. And I'm really, really enjoying, as I said earlier, this stage of a painting. And I think the next stream will probably be just continuing this. Because, as I said, I think we still have quite a few hours to go on this painting. I think it would be fun to just go a bit crazy and just do these details to their extreme. I personally could watch these all day. Well, maybe sometime, at some point, I'll just take you guys along for an entire workday. And we'll just do a 10-hour stream. Alright, maybe we'll get some of that light into the clouds too, as I was talking about. So we'll really get the feeling that there is light coming from the left, just to make that clear. So while I already enjoy these clouds quite a bit, and I have to be careful not to destroy them, just gonna add a bit. And work like that suddenly isn't as automatic, which is why you can hear that my voice is a bit more strained, because this suddenly is concentrated work. Because I would like to keep the flow of the clouds and not destroy that. Like that, I think. Then it's a bit clearer that the moon comes in from the left and shines on the clouds too. These clouds, yes, there's a void in the center. It seems like an open space. It's so brilliant. The void in the center. Yeah, I think the open spaces would be nice too, because we were going to add some more stars eventually. And I would like to keep the spaces open for those, if that is what you mean. And I don't want to fill it all too much with clouds. So I think something like that. And you can do a bit of light here too, not too much, but just so that we get the movement. So there we are. I think we could do some stars lower down too. Yes, don't. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I think I'll pop in a star so it'll kind of shine through the lower clouds. I don't think we only need stars up the top. For instance, I'll just put one here and we'll see how it is, and I'll just leave it for a bit, and then eventually either I'll remove it or I'm happy with it if I'll keep it there. So I'll just put a star here and we'll see how it goes, and if it's not alright, it's possible to remove it later. Like that, and then we'll put in the light. And I have to always grab my hand for this because it needs to be just the right spot. Alright, and then a few more lines. I mean, now that we know that the light is coming from the left, that actually makes everything a bit easier. You could consider painting a bird's eye view of the landscape, as if you're flying. Yes, the thing is, since I'm painting a lot from, while it is imaginary, it is based on memories too. I need a bit more experiences from that. I don't necessarily need to actually fly. I could watch a few videos of drone. So drone footage, for instance, that Lena has a drone now. And things like that actually do help me a lot, because eventually I can get a bit more of the feel of how that would look. So if I watch enough videos with drone shots, maybe eventually I'll be able to do a bit more bird's eye view things. But for now, all the things I paint is from the usual view that we all have when we walk through the forest, just because that's the view I usually have when I do. Okay, so now we know that the light comes in from the left, and I can do a few of those lines. Actually, me too, Elizabeth says. When I am having an illustrating day, I would definitely enjoy working alongside. Yeah, yeah, we can do an entire day at some point. Absolutely. I would probably not talk the entire time. Just make it clear that it's more of a kind of just being there together and just working. So that would be cool too. Could also sit on the drone. Could sit on the drone. Well, there are VR drones, so I think that would be the way of doing it. It's amazing how one star just changed the light on the mountain, Janine says. Yeah, it does sometimes, doesn't it, though? Next thing we know, Joachim will be a skydiving junkie. Well, that would help, you know. That would actually help a lot. Just for the inspiration. Yes, we can all go skydiving. Yeah, I can take you along in a skydiving session to prepare us all for the evening's work. So now, okay, we know that the light is coming in from the left, so we can do a few highlights here too, for instance. I don't want to do too many highlights because it's a nighttime painting, and just going to be some, imagine that it's soft moonlight coming in, but it does help a bit with the lines. I'll work on my IT creations while you all paint. That sounds lovely. I think we have a plan. All right, let's do the trees on the right side. So this I imagine being an old pine, and I think we'll just do exactly the same thing on the other as on the other side, just a pine instead of a spruce. And I'll add a bit to it, so this one will be the old one in the middle. Yeah, skydiving stream would be nice. Let's see what we can do. Let's do a VR one instead, I think. That would be amazing. We're all working side by side, exchanging and multiplying positive energy. Yeah, that does sound nice. I think we will definitely be doing that very soon. Like the book, films, or information technology, Cressy, I'm curious now. Maybe a lot of screaming, Jenny says. Yeah, it would probably be. Okay, so I'll just do a really old pine here. I must say, I am enjoying these live streams more and more, and you guys all seem to be more and more familiar with each other, which is lovely. I am so pleased. So here we now have an old pine, and all of these are going to be the children of said pine. And then I can sneak in a few different... my battery is really running out now. So sadly, I think this is going to have to be it for now. And I will see you again very soon. I'm going to wash my brushes and give you all a chance to say goodbye. Yes, I'm not going to just end it right now. I'm going to do some wash my brushes a bit. I can take you guys along for that. I'll plop you here, and I can wash my brushes while we all say goodbye. Had a great time. Thanks for the time, Joachim Krasi says. Well, goodbye to you. It was so wonderful to see you here again. Brilliant. Arlene says, nice seeing you in your company. Goodbye all. Prashanti says, good night everyone. Thanks you all and have a nice evening or day, Elizabeth says. The book by Stephen King, Senpai says, and good night all. I am so glad that you all stopped by, and I'm so happy that you keep coming back. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. I promise to have all the batteries charged up and we can do a longer stream. It's been so nice to have you all here. And really lovely, and we actually came quite far on the painting. So it actually works really well. I think we will do a lot more of these, actually painting from scratch together. Thank you again, Joachim. So nice to see everyone again. Can't wait to see. Can you continue this one? Yes, next stream we will continue it. So I won't paint anything on it until we all see each other again. And then we'll continue it. Looking forward for the next one, Eileen says. Yes, me too. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks to all, Krasi says. I'll check the book. Yes, I'll definitely do this one, and I think next time we'll finish it. And then right away we can then start a new one. Perfect, Janine says. Good night. Bye, Arna says. Bye to you too. Not a recommendation, haven't read it, just asking. Bye, Cressy says. Rahel says, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. It's an incredible piece of art, this night painting. Bye, everyone. Goodbye to you. Wonderful to see you here again. Soon your trees and plants will be coming here too. Elaine says bye. BRW says stay safe and healthy, everyone. You too. I'm glad you got the cup. And I'll see you again soon too. Hopefully we can build in some of your recommendations. Elizabeth says you too. Bye to Janine. Janine says goodbye to BRW. I am really enjoying the energy in this stream. And I am almost done with my brushes. This is one of some of the most important work, so we can actually use these again the next time. So tomorrow we might have our shop opening, and Lena might be coming out with a new video. So we're probably not going to do a live stream tomorrow. Maybe we will tomorrow evening, but I'm not entirely sure. BRW claps his hands. And no satellites, as you can see in the painting. I hope none of these stars will move. Alright, all of the brushes are done. I will just move us back so you can see the painting one more time. And thank you all for joining me here. And I think we have all managed to say our goodbyes. And I will see you next time. Good night.